What's up, God Bear? Hey, Ridley. Welcome in. How are y'all doing tonight? It's a lazy day for me. I mean, other than I did scrims and I cooked dinner, made some mac and cheese. Nice, easy go-to homemade mac and cheese. Hey, Josh. And made the slides for this recap today, which, yo, week 2 was crazy. Can we talk about that for a second? Can we talk about how crazy week 2 was? I was working on the power rankings. And I looked. Everybody that was ranked above me in the power rankings lost. Every single team that was ranked ahead of me in the power rankings lost. It was a crazy week. It was a crazy week. Anyways, we have a little shout out to the homies over here. These are the what I would deem to be the MVPs from each team this week. I'll be updating this every week. Just a fun little visual. Doesn't mean anything. Just there. Anyways, hi Jazz and Aquila. Let's go ahead and do the recaps. We'll talk about the matches. So first match we're gonna go over is St. Ridley. The rookie coach looked really good in week 1. Had is the Blackthorn City Buzzwoles. I always do this off memory, so I apologize, y'all. I don't like write a script for these or anything. I always just do them off the dome. And then this is my team, obviously. Olivine City Volties. Let's watch it. So I lead with Weather, and Ridley goes right into what is presumably Thick Fat Grumpig and just nasty plots immediately. I wasn't super prepared for this, and it almost kills my Torkoal. And we actually found out later that that was a roll. But I do clear Smog to get rid of the boosts, and then she immediately nasty plots again. Immediately nasty plots again, and then Psychics and kills my Spider. So I go into Charizard, I overheat, in Sun with Choice Specs, that is always a kill. She goes into Houndoom, who walls Charizard, who is locked into a fire move. The Houndoom gets off Dark Pulse. It, when I speed it up, it goes so fast. Goes into Houndoom. I go into Hariyama because I'm expecting the Dark Pulse. It resists. Live it no problem. I click Rock Slide. It's always a safe click there because Sheer Force, Rock Slide covers Houndoom, Crobat. Pretty much everything gives good chip. So pick up a kill on the Crobat. Psycho Cut doesn't do much to Bronzong. We'll go ahead and speed it up now. I do go ahead and fire off a Future Sight. Ridley pivots into Swampert. I hurry up and get Torkoal out before the Stealth Rocks get set up so I can get my Weather back. But now I've lost my hazard removal. My Rapid Spinner is gone. Here I go ahead and click Close Combat. Could not believe how much damage it did. Gallade. Holy shit. Pick it off with Priority Bullet Punch. That's now 2 kills for the pig. And here we play a little game of stalling out Daria's son. Featuring St. Ridley and the Regigigas, who landed a double protect. Oh, it says week 1 up top. Okay, let me update it. Sorry, I suck at this. Give me a second. Alright, there. Now it says week 2. Thanks for pointing that out to me. I completely missed it. Anyways. Back to the thing that actually matters, the match that we were talking about. I mean, long story short, this comes down to whether or not the Scarfed Houndoom can get back-to-back flinches. It cannot, and Hariyama finishes it off. Hariyama gets 5 kills in this match. Really good match for Hariyama. That's what I was talking about. before it was pointed out that the graphic was wrong. So that's both fun and embarrassing. Okay, so there's that match. The next match that we'll talk about is Talon Queen Zulia. That's the Bolton Gengars, who dropped their first match of the season. So they're 0-1 coming into this. Coming against the #1 rated British gent, the Dar Manchester United, #1 in the power rankings, perceived to be the best drafted team in the league. Zulia's got their work cut out for themselves. Let's see how this goes. So right off the bat, Gent leads with Playdog, gets up hazards, and Zulia decides to just start boosting. Wastes no time at all, eats an Earth Power, gets off another Curse, which is simple boosted, gets huge damage off on the Aqua Jet, and proceeds to take out the Clay Doll. Gent then goes into Rosa Raid, and I do want to point something out here. Based on it's hitting special, how does this match go differently if Zulia brings Swords Dance instead of Curse this week? Because this thing would have been +4 instead of +3. And I don't know, probably the same, right? Because I don't think +4 Aqua Jet kills Rose Raid still. But I mean, 45% on +4 is still crazy. It would have been +6, sorry. +4 is still crazy. This Rose Raid gets big damage off on this, but then the Drapion crits. It is Sniper with Scope Lens. So it was, well, actually, Sniper doesn't boost crit chance. Only the Scope Lens does. So the crit was kind of wild there, and then gets big damage. Finishes off the Rose Raid. Earthquake gets okay damage off on the Scizor, but the Scizor kills it with U-turn. Zulia goes ahead and takes this opportunity to get rid of hazards, eats the crunch, and then gets good chip off with Dragon Pulse here. Gent decides to agility on this turn, which is weird because he has extreme speed, so he like already outspeeds. I guess maybe it's for what's coming up next, the Gengar, but even at +2, it still didn't outspeed the Gengar, and I just like, if you're gonna run agility, why not make sure you have enough speed to outrun a Scarf Gengar? Because I would have to imagine at +2, Arcanine has enough speed available to be able to outspeed the Gengar. I just don't think he invested enough. So I just thought that was an interesting play. Anyways, Zulia comes in with the Scarf Gengar, outspeeds, and kills the Arcanine. But doesn't matter because it gets fully parried and is not able to finish off the Drifblim. Drifblim finishes it off with Hex, and then the next couple plays are kind of crazy. So he goes in, or I'm sorry, Zulia. They go into Hitmonchan, and they reveal Fire Punch, and finish off the balloon. Now, instead of going Salamence, who resists Fire Punch, Gent decides to go Scizor, who is 4 times weak to Fire Punch. Bullet Punch does not kill, and Hitmonchan kills the Scizor. And at this point, Zulia is able to get some chip. Does get a Moxie boost, but this thing is sturdy. Even if it was +6, it's still not going to one-shot this thing, and Zulia just lands the Stone Edge and actually upsets British Gent. So that was a crazy, crazy match. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Can confirm that +2 Arcanine can outspeed Scarf Gengar. Yeah, see, so I just thought it was a strange... I thought it was a strange set on the Arcanine. If you're going to have agility on it, you want to make sure it can outspeed a Scarfed Gengar. I feel like that's what you spec it for, and it was not. So I just thought it was an interesting play. Would love to hear from Gent what kind of EVs he had on the Arcanine and why he had them that way. It was still a close match though, and it was a huge, huge win for Zulia early in the season. The next match we will talk about is Grand Aquila versus the Natural. That's the Goldenrod Glizzy Gobblers, who lost their first matchup, or their first week's matchup, against Ohio Ninetales, who also lost their first week's matchup. So these teams are both looking for a win. Whoever wins will get their first win of the season. And here's how it goes. Does Gent win if he kills Chan with Mints? That's what we were talking about. He may have. It's still not like we'd have to go back and like break it down, but I feel like you already see Fire Punch and you don't, and you know Scissor can't outspeed and kill. So like I think your play is always to go Salamence there. I don't know. Again, Gent also said that he saw that was as a misplay himself, that he regretted going that way. But anyways, this match, we're talking about this match now. So the match starts really, really great. Grand Aquila, who is able to get hazards up. And Mike is basically just going for like chip with Waterfall, I guess. Not really like pivoting around or anything like that. And Grand Aquila decides to just go ahead and explode and gets decent chip off on the Quagsire, enough to scare it out in front of a Venomoth. The Venomoth does put the Taurus to sleep and then poisons the Blissey. The problem with poisoning Blissey is that it gets natural cure, so it doesn't really help you that much because it can just switch out and heal itself. Unless, of course, Mike is running Serene Grace, but it is confirmed there to be natural cure instead. The Togekiss finishes off the Togekiss, or I'm sorry, the Tauros. Then gets huge damage off on the Quagsire, but now we see that it is Recover. But instead of recovering and stalling out the Gleams, he decides to click Stone Edge this turn, and then loses the exchange because of the Dazzling Gleam on the following turn. This Togekiss, honestly, like, just putting in a ton of work this week. It's just, like, especially with these two in front of each other, like, we're gonna speed this up a little bit because a lot of nothing happens here. It's just a lot of nothing. Finally, Mike switches out, goes into Cresselia, who eats that, and then skill swaps to scoop up Togekiss's Serene Grace, which was really spicy. I thought that was really cool to see at the time. Heals back up, but now it's paralyzed thanks to Thunder Wave on Porygon Z, which was surprising for me. I just did not expect to see Thunder Wave on Porygon Z. You know, Porygon Z is usually an uber offensive threat. Seeing the status on it is a different way to use it, and I think it's really cool to see that. But then Mike gets fully paired, and Venomoth is able to finish off the crest. Then Blissey gets put to sleep, and Grand Aquila is just trying to get chip off, I guess. And now we have these two facing each other again, and it's just more of the same. These two just waste a lot of time and use up a lot of moves. Finally, Mike decides to switch out, says, you know what, I need to go into something that can actually hurt this thing, and then clicks Thunderbolt for huge damage. But Togekiss lives it, finishes it off, but now Lucario's out, misses the Stone Edge. Misses the Stone Edge, which would have finished off the Togekiss. Togekiss able to pick off the Lucario. And look, it's Blissey versus the world at this point. But here's the thing. This Blissey is not going out without a fight. Where have we seen this before? Where have we seen a Blissey refuse to go down without a fight? It's almost like we have seen this before. So the Blissey wins the exchange with the Ditto Blissey. Why? Well, the explanation is really easy, actually. So when Ditto transforms, it still has the same HP stat that Ditto always has. So it's a Blissey with Ditto's HP pool. And part of what makes Blissey so good is its insane HP pool, and Ditto Blissey doesn't have that. So Mike's Blissey is able to slowly wear down the Ditto Blissey. I'm sorry, I skipped through a little bit, but this Blissey actually finishes off this as well. Now, when we were watching, we were all wondering, like, well, what's this Rapidash have on it, right? Like, Blissey is specially defensive, usually not physically defensive. Like, this Rapidash has to be able to do damage to this Blissey. 41% damage right there. If he would have been able to get that move off the first turn, probably would have done a lot of damage too. I'm curious how much like a Flare Blitz would have done. And then this is crazy because if the Blissey clicks Ice Beam, if the Blissey comes out on this turn, hold on. if the Blissey on this turn clicks Ice Beam, Mike wins. Because Granakila clicks Aura Sphere, but instead of clicking Ice Beam, Mike clicks Soft Boiled, and that was it. That was his chance to win. I think Granakila realizes this, hurries up and clicks Roost so he can get his health back. Ice Beam isn't going to do any damage now, and now the Togekiss is able to finally wear down the Blissey with a crit Aura Sphere. Crazy game. Crazy game. Absolutely insane. 76 turns. I think that's easily been the longest match of the year so far. The next one we'll talk about is Godbear, the Chicago Phalanx. Won his first match of the season against Spega. The Seattle Salacious Sparses, who lost their first match. So Spega trying to, climb back up to 500 after losing week 1, and Godbear trying to like break his week 2 curse. He historically always loses his week 2 matchup. Let's see if anything changes this season. Let's see. Let's find out. So, Jumpluff puts the Masquerain to sleep and then starts boosting. Spega goes into Sableye, and I think what happens here is I think Godbear is afraid of Prankster Encore and just locking him in a Sword Stance, so he goes ahead and switches into Endeavor, the Infernape, expecting maybe to come in free on an Encore. But instead, Spega actually clicks Foul Play and gets a decent amount of damage off. And Foul Play actually is a good play there because the Jumpluff was +1, so he would have been able to get good damage off on the Jumpluff. Basically, goes into Masquerain here to get, I guess, some recoil, but Godbear just, takes out the Masquerain. Smart play. Spega goes into Ninetales, gets the Sun up, so Godbear switches out, goes into a special wall, but then we see Flame Charge to get the speed boost, and then we see a Sun-boosted Fire Blast come out, but this actually tanks it in Thunder Waves, which is great speed control on the Ninetales, especially a Ninetales that is trying to boost its speed. Protects to stall out a turn of Sun, get a little bit of health back. And then Spega decides to go into Victory Bell. And now here, instead of clicking Sludge Bomb and killing what's in front of him, he boosts. And I actually think like Spega clicking Growth here isn't a bad play because he was probably expecting Godbear to switch out. But Godbear at this point is saying, look, I have gotten my Stealth Rocks up. I have paralyzed your Ninetales. Like, I've gotten pretty good value out of this Wigglytuff. I'm just going to let this thing go down. And this actually ends up benefiting Godbear because Spega decides to boost, and Godbear clicks Sun-boosted Flamethrower and gets a ton of damage off on this thing. Protects to stall out more of the Sun. And then finally goes down to Sludge Bomb. And then this is... but at this point, the damage has already been done, right? Godbear just goes into Aerodactyl, which outspeeds Chlorophyll Victory Bell, picks it off with Earthquake. And then Spega immediately goes into Sableye, who just, let's look at this. Look at this team right now. Look at this Sableye. This thing kind of just walls this team. What can we possibly see to break through this thing? If you try to go in terms of coverage, the only thing that gets super effective coverage is the Mawile, I think, gets Play Rough, and the Alakazam gets Dazzle Gleam. Spega gets the Sun back up, but takes a ton of damage in the process. I don't really think Spega cares about the damage at this time, or the Sun at this time, because what on his team still benefits from Sun? Honestly, all the benefit of the Sun there, I guess, is that Flare Blitz does more damage, so this thing takes more recoil. I don't know. But it is low enough now, thanks to the recoil, for this to pick it off with Sucker Punch. We see its Sheer Force Life Orb, which is really fun. Jumpluff outspeeds, puts this to sleep. Gets a chance to boost. Spega goes into the Slowking, who lives the Acrobatics, and then Giga Impacts to pick that off. Just kind of basically stalls out turns here. And this is basically where we find out that the Sableye can't be broken. Because if anything is going to kill it, it's going to be this Dazzling Gleam. The Sableye lives on 4, gets huge damage off with the Foul Play, and then picks it off with Shadow Snake. Extremely good Sableye set, and now we see that like Earthquake can't even do enough damage without a crit to kill the Sableye, and we just see this Sableye slowly wear down the Aerodactyl and seal the victory for Spega. Yeah, getting up Stealth Rocks and Spikes is just so much hazard chip. Hazards are so valuable. So Spega able to go 1-1. Godbear not able to break his week 2 curse and drops to 1-1. The next match we'll talk about is Sgt Mack and the Bettendorf Brawlers. Another team that won their first week matchup, looking really strong, pretty high up in the power rankings, going up against Josh, who dropped his first week matchup against myself, trying to redeem himself against Sgt Mack. This match was a lot of fun. Right off the bat, Sgt Mack going up and getting up hazards. This is where we see Josh reveal that this is clear body, which, I mean, that's pretty much what you always run on Metagross, right? So its stats can't get dropped, and it gets up screens. And then gets up Stealth Rock. So extremely support Metagross. Extremely support Metagross. We see the Gyarados come out. The Quillfish immediately toxic. So we see Lumberry, and he boosts. And instead of clicking Earthquake, assuming he has Earthquake, and potentially just picking up a kill here, he decides to go ahead and boost again. And Sgt Mack decides, okay, well, if that's what you're going to do, I'm going to poison you. And then I'm going to protect. And you're going to take more Toxic Chip. And then you're going to hit me, but it's not going to do much because I resist your stab attack, and you're going to take more damage. And then I'm going to get up my last set of spikes. And then I'm going to click Protect, and you're going to die to Toxic. You just got 1v1 by a Quillfish. Really unfortunate time for this Gyarados. But then the Cloyster comes out and immediately spins and gets rid of all of those hazards. All of the hazards are gone. I think what happened on this play, because Rapid Spin seems kind of obvious, but this Cloyster just puts out so much offensive pressure that I think Sgt Mack thought, instead of blocking the spin with Miss Magus, what if he clicks Icicle Spear, expecting me to try and block that spin? I better go into my wall so I don't lose one of my best offensive threats. So he goes into Slow King, which allows Grayson to go ahead and get rid of the hazards. But like this Slow King just kind of walls this thing. So that's it. Like Cloyster is basically reduced to a hazard removal. All the offensive pressure that it provides, it's gone. But getting rid of those hazards was like huge, absolutely huge. But now the Stealth Rocks are back up, and Quillfish is still alive and can get more spikes up if he wants to. And Josh's Rapid Spinner's gone. But here we see Quillfish come out. It's not gonna outspeed this Garchomp, but it does have priority, so it Aqua Jets and dies to Rough Skin. But now, this play right here is crazy. Talk about this. This play right here is crazy. I'm gonna slow it down. All right. We have Garchomp out here. Sgt Mack immediately goes into Mew. This tells us what? That this Mew is most likely either bulky and wants to Will-O-Wisp, or it's Scarfed and has Ice Beam. But Josh has his screens up. Something tells me that Calcs ran here because this thing absolutely tanks the Ice Beam from the Scarfed Mew. It gets under 25%, just under 25%, and we see Salic Berry go off. Now, this Garchomp outspeeds everything on the field unless the Miss Magus is Scarfed. That is the only way that anything can outspeed this Garchomp. And now it's +2. You have a +2 attack, +1 speed Garchomp just going ham right now. Sgt Mack goes into Slow King in a desperation attempt to somehow not get swept by this Garchomp, and it lives a +2 crunch. It lives a +2 crunch. Josh, are you here? I'm curious, was this Garchomp jolly? Was this Garchomp Jolly? I would imagine that it had to be Jolly to outspeed Scarf Miss Magus. So I would imagine this thing's probably Jolly. Yeah, because if this is Adamant, I think that Crunch always kills. But because he needed to go Jolly to outspeed the Scarfed Miss Magus, it didn't quite have enough power to kill the physically bulky Slowking even at +2. So little fun thing to get clarification on there. Very cool though. Very, very cool set. Salic Berry with the screens. Oh my god, that was so spicy. If Sgt Mack wouldn't have had full physical investment on this Slowking, like this Garchomp probably just wins. So very, very, very cool set. At least until screens are gone, because then Breloom picks it off with Mach Punch, right? Either way, that is done. Sgt Mack does a strange thing here and goes hard into Miss Magus in front of a Nidoqueen. I think maybe he was expecting Earth Power to come out, and Miss Magus has Levitate, so it would have been immune. But, I mean, Josh clicks the coverage move, which is smart, and gets 50% damage off on Miss Magus, which is huge, and then picks off the Miltank. So at this point, things are just kind of taking damage and going down. Josh makes a big brain read, expects the Spore, goes into Venusaur, and this is where Venusaur just starts running Rough Shot. It's just too bulky, and it has too good a coverage, and just kind of, you know, cleans up shop from here. Extremely good win for Josh in week 2. Picking up his first one of the season. And finally, the last match we will touch on is Jazz. With the abbreviation, the long one that I can never remember. Sorry. Against Chris, Call Me K, and the against the Pokemon Scar Pikachu. So it's Rock and Rillaboom's versus Pokemon Scar Pikachu's. Chris won in week 1 and looked really, really strong. And they're up against Jazz, who dropped their first week match, so trying to bounce back this week. We had a lot of these this week. Right off the bat, Mime, gone. Flash Cannon Jirachi immediately picks off the Mime, which is crazy because Mime is bulky. And then we see this Suicune set come out. It is Substitute Protect with leftovers. You would presume it to have Calm Mind. What's its coverage? This is what we need to see, because if it's a water move, then this Lapras just hard walls it. If it's anything else, then, I mean, maybe this thing can set up on it and try to take it out, but it is a water move, so it is just hard walled by the Lapras. Can't do anything against this Lapras. So Jazz is like, fine, I'm just gonna break your sub. Finally, Chris swaps out, and then the Turtle gets Whirlpool Trap. Clicks Seed Bomb, which Jazz protects on, and then swaps in the Granpool, who gets an Intimidate off and eats the Seed Bomb without any trouble. Chris smartly goes into Skarmory, but Jazz reads that, clicks Fire Fang, gets really good damage off the Skarmory. Skarmory clicks Steel Wing, and then right here, this is where things start to fall apart. Click Steel Wing again, and this gives Jazz a chance to trap it. Whirlpool, gotcha. You fell into my trap. I'm gonna click Perish Song, and I'm just gonna style on you for a couple turns until you die. And that's exactly what happens. And there goes Skarmory, the toughest wall for Jazz's team to break. Gone immediately. Really, really good start for Jazz. U-turns out for momentum, goes into Flygon, who actually surprisingly eats 2 attacks from Kangaskhan, which I personally was shocked, because I don't think I have ever had a Flygon live an attack from anything. It could be like a U-turn from like I don't know, a Paraglay or something, and it just dies always. I don't get it. Jazz switches into the Granbull, who gets rid of the attack boost on the Dragonite and is immune. Then gets nice play rough damage off on the Suicune, and Jazz just goes right back into the Lapras, who gets healed up from the Scald, and now tries to Whirlpool Trap the Kangaskhan. protects the scout and burn the fake out, and then goes into Flygon. Attacks Flygon to get clean into Jirachi, who picks off the Kangaskhan. Then gets psychic damage off on the Dragonite for good chip. This puts it in Ice Shard range for Mamoswine. So Chris swaps out into Suicune. I mean, that's the right play. You gotta do what you gotta do. Chris makes a good read predicting the Lapras swap. Gets the Synthesis up to get health back. And then Suicune eats a Fire Fang with no problem at all. And then again, Chris makes another read, predicts the Lapras again. And starts cursing in front of the Granbull. But Granbull's Fire Fangs are still doing decent damage. Gets really good chip, brings this thing down to 21%, and gets a burn. That burn is huge because now this thing can't do any damage to anything at all. Fire Fang continuing to get good chip. This thing finally goes down, but like, this thing has been dealt with. This thing is no use to anybody anymore. So Chris just lets it go down to the Mamoswine. Goes into Suicune, who is just hard-walled by the Lapras, and Lapras doesn't care about Dragonite. It just doesn't. So Whirlpool traps it, gets health back, protects on the next turn, gets more health back, and then it finishes off the Suicune with Perish Song. This Lapras, I have never seen a Perish Trap Lapras get 3 kills. The thing about Perish Trap is you usually take so much damage that you're only able to trap 1, maybe 2 if you're really lucky. But the fact that Jazz was able to pick up 3 kills with Perish Trap Lapras, that's just crazy to me. That's just crazy to me. Flygon's always just die, okay? And that's the match. So now, we'll talk about the power rankings. And there was all kinds of movement this week. Insane movement. So I jumped up to first. Because I'm the only team who hasn't lost yet. That's it. That's the only reason I'm first. I don't think my team is like necessarily better built than anybody. I won my first 2 matches. I'm the only one who hasn't lost, and I think that's why I jumped up so far. And I said before, all 5 teams ahead of me lost last week. So I mean, just kind of how power rankings work. Like Josh and I were talking because the way these power rankings are done is Josh gives me his 1 through 12. I come up with my 1 through 12, and then we average out our numbers, and that's how we come up with our ranking. The only 2 we were sure about, the only 2 things that we both, in fact, the only 2 rankings that we both had the same were me at 1 and Ninetales at 12. And the only reason we both agreed on those is because I haven't lost and Mike hasn't won. So we just thought those were easy and self-explanatory. Neither of us agreed on pretty much anything else from there. We had very different numbers, and that's why there was so much movement. In fact, the only team who didn't change rankings this week was Grand Aquila and the Goldenrod Glizzy Gobblers. The Blackthorn City Buzzwolves dropped 6 spots down, which I think is a little harsh. I think I did not have the Blackthorn City Buzzwolves ranked this low. So I just want to say that. I just want to throw that out there. I had you quite a bit higher up here, but apparently Josh was not impressed with your week 2 performance. But like, here's the thing. It's really hard to rank these teams. Everything is so close. Like, 2 through 11, ranks 2 through 11, all have the same exact record. All are 1-1. 10 teams have the same exact record. This is insane. This is absolutely crazy. I've never been in a league like this. So I think the power rankings this week should be taken with a grain of salt. I really don't think, like, this league is really close. This league is really close. I like, at this point in the league, I think it's really up. Anyone could win this league right now. I think if week 2 proves anything, it's that anyone could beat anybody on any given week. And everyone, like, you need to prep for your match each week because there are no guaranteed easy wins in this league. Every match is going to be a fight for a win. And I think that's awesome. I think that's really cool. And then finally, we will talk about the Pokemon of the week. There's 2 of them. 2 Mons had 5 kills this week. Hariyama from my team had 5 kills and was only killed because of its own life or recoil. Blissey only had 4 kills. Blissey only had 4 kills and it lost. Blissey only had 4 kills and it lost. So Blissey doesn't get Pokemon of the Week honors when there are 2 Pokemon that both had 5 kills. Hariyama and Togekiss. I mean, Togekiss went off this week. Togekiss had such a great week. Like, both of these Pokemon went off. Togekiss didn't even die. Hariyama only died because of Life Orb recoil, but both of these Pokemon, like, completely dominated in their matches. Blissey did try its best. I don't disagree, Pearly. Blissey did its very best, but it lost and only had 4 kills, and both of these got 5 kills and won their matches. So I feel like this is fair. I feel like this is fair. Before we end, I do want to... Oh, hold on. Wrong screen. Sorry. Let's switch over to this one. We can take a look at the Week 3 matchups. We're just going to do it like this again because it's easy. Week 3, myself versus the Goldenrod Glizzy Gobblers. So I'm up against Grand Tequila in Week 3. Then there's the Ohio Ninetales versus the Pokemon Square Pikachus. And then all 4 of these matches are between coaches that are 1-1. So all 4 of these games, I feel like are going to be must-watch television. Must-watch television. The Phalanx versus the Gengars. So that's Godbear versus Zulia. British Gent versus William. Josh versus Jazz. And Ridley versus Spagon. I feel like all 4 of these matches are going to be extremely fun. And I expect all these to come down to the last 1 or 2 Pokemon. All 4 of these matches, I think, will come down to the last one or two Pokemon. So, yeah. That's what to look for in Week 3. And that's it. That's the Week 2 recap. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I keep thinking it gets solar power because of Mega Hot. Yeah, I did the same thing when I was prepping, and I was like, oh wait, it's not Mega. So I gotta prepare for Flash Fire instead of solar power. But yeah, that's Week 2. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. That's gonna be it for tonight. I will get this up on YouTube as well. Keep an eye out for it there. I mean, if you watched it live, like, there's no reason to go watch it on YouTube unless you just want to be super cool and like the video or leave a comment, which always means a lot to me, but also super not necessary. I will be live tomorrow. I will be live tomorrow at 8 p.m. So tomorrow night. We will be doing some more of the Ironmon challenge because I had a lot of fun with that and I want to keep it going. And yeah, I'll catch y'all then. Keep an eye out for the Week 2 matches, and I hope you all have a good night. Let me see if we have any friends for us to raid. Let's raid Lionheart. Lionheart is live. We are going to raid Lionheart. Snacko is on. Snacko is on. And Snacko's great. We love Snacko. But Snacko's got 36 friendos hanging out and has lots of company. Our friend Lionheart is kind of riding solo right now. So we're going to go give Lionheart some company. So follow Lionheart if you don't already. He does lots of Pokemon content. He's a really nice guy. And I will catch y'all tomorrow. Bye.